Hey everyone, Mike here, and in this video we're having side by side two of the top Android smartphones of the moment, the Samsung Galaxy S5 and the Sony Xperia Z2. On the outside, these two are nothing alike, as each manufacturer is pushing towards its own design lines and construction philosophies. In other words, the S5 is mostly built out of plastic, with glass only covering the front face, while the Z2 is entirely made from metal and glass. This translates in a premium, sturdy feel for the Xperia and the cheaper aspect for the Galaxy, but at the same time, Samsung's smartphone is both more compact and lighter. Getting a bit more in depth with the aesthetic details, you'll see that the Galaxy S5 resembles the Note 3 in many ways, from whom it has borrowed a few design lines. It has a rectangular shape with slightly rounded corners, a chrome plastic strip around the edges and a soft plastic rear cover with a dimpled pattern, which actually makes the phone quite grippy and comfortable to hold and use. The Xperia, on the other hand, is even more rectangular than the S5, with almost sharp corners. Its sides are made from metal, while shatterproof glass dresses both the front and the rear faces. This will catch smudges like crazy, but looks nice and should be less prone to scratches on the long term. The two phones are both IP certified. The S5 meets an IP67 certification, which means dust tight and water resistant up to 1 meter for 30 minutes. While the Z2 is IP58 certified, which translates in dust-proof and the ability to immerse it beyond 1 meter for 30 minutes. As a result, the ports are sealed with plastic caps on both these devices. However, while the Xperia's ports are sealed unibody with all the connectors and card rails lined around the edges, the S5 retained a removable plastic back, which still covers an user-replaceable battery and the SIM and microSD trays. Each approach has its pros and cons. The Sony Xperia Z2 feels better protected, but packs more caps that might break in time, while on the S5 it's crucial to properly fix the plastic back in place, otherwise you'll hinder the weatherproofness. Anyway, let's move on and have a look around these devices. Both pack the standard buttons and ports, but the Galaxy S5 has the IR blaster and the micro USB 3.0 slot as extras, while the Xperia offers a dedicated shutter button. There's also the heart rate monitor sensor on the S5 placed on the back just under the camera, and the fingerprint reader integrated within the physical home button. But the Xperia tries to compensate that with the front-facing stereo speakers, as opposed to the rear-placed single speaker on the Galaxy. On top of this, both phones offer notification LEDs, and Sony's implementation is much more stylish and somewhat more visible as well. All this aside, let's turn our attention towards the screen for a little bit. Sony packs a Full HD 5.2-inch IPS display on their device, while Samsung went for a 5.1-inch AMOLED panel on theirs. This translates in sharper viewing angles, richer blacks and deeper contrast on the S5, but higher brightness levels and clearer whites on the Z2. On top of that, the Z2 should display more natural colors as well, but my test unit was somewhat faulty with a strong purple hue, so I'll hold my final judgment until I get to play with another Xperia Z2. Till then, I'll conclude that picking one approach over the other is entirely up to you, and it's quite a difficult choice as both screens look admirably good. With those out of the way, let's focus on what these phones can actually do. Hardware-wise, they're really close. The Galaxy S5 is motorized by a higher clocked version of the Snapdragon 801 chip, but only packs 2GB of RAM, while the Z2 has received 3GB. Software-wise, the two phones run Android 4.4.2 KitKat, and each manufacturer adds its own touch to the mix. However, while Sony's interference is rather light, as they settled on customizing a few design interfaces and adding a few of their own proprietary apps and features like Walkman, Play Store or their content stores, Samsung's intrusion into the OS is much deeper. The UI was redesigned and flattened, which is appreciated, but Samsung still insists on showing us that their way of doing things is superior over Google's. That's why they have their own version of the notification panel, the My Magazine home screen, their own version of the settings, their own dialer, and so on. On top of this, the S5 does bundle a few pre-installed apps like S-Health or S-Voice, plus Samsung's own content store. It's worth, however, noting that the S5's TouchWiz implementation feels cleaner than ever before, and that's also demonstrated by the amount of free storage space available on the 16GB version, around 12GB on the S5, actually a bit more than what's available on the Xperia Z2. Anyway, you'll be glad to know that both these phones perform smoothly, no matter what you're throwing at them, casual everyday tasks, multimedia content, games, you name it. To be frank though, the Z2 offered a nearly perfect experience in my tests, while the S5 still hiccups from time to time. Performance aside, the cameras are crucial in this side-by-side comparison. On paper, the Xperia's main shooter seems advantaged, sporting a large sensor and more megapixels, although the latter don't matter much in my eyes. Each manufacturer also crammed tons of features on their own flagship. Sony offers a superior auto mode, 4K video shooting, time-shift video, background defocus, and so on. Samsung have their own auto mode, which can be manually tweaked if needed, can also record all sorts of types of videos including UHD, and offers image and video stabilization or selective focus features. At the end of the day though, I care more about the results, and while it's hard to set the two apart when it comes to video quality and proper light stills, the Samsung Galaxy S5 outperforms the Z2 in poor light. It also focuses faster in most conditions due to its hybrid phase contrast detection. I'll add some real-size pictures in the written comparison for you to check out by yourselves, and I'll put the link in the description. Anyway, we could carry on with this comparison for a while, but we'll keep it short. There is one final aspect we should cover though, battery life. With average use, both these phones will go for about 2 days on a single charge, and that's just standard these days. Both also offer some energy-saving power modes for those moments when you'll need to squeeze extra juice out of them. The Xperia Z2 does pack a slightly larger battery, but it's difficult to say if it will last longer than the S5 in practice, as it really depends on what and how you'll be doing on these devices. One other thing is for sure though, the S5's battery is replaceable, so you can swap it for a new one if really needed, while the Z2's battery is encased. Drawing the line on these two smartphones, the Xperia has the looks and the build quality on its side, the smooth performance, the clean OS and the stereo front-facing speakers, but it's a massive and heavy device and its camera software needs extra polish. The Samsung is made from plastic and that makes it somewhat cheap, but also lighter than its rival. It packs up-to-date hardware and software, a fast and reliable camera, a replaceable battery and a handful of other features and tweaks, but its design is somewhat boring and old, and TouchWiz is still there, skewing the Android stock experience. So there you have it. Both the Samsung Galaxy S5 and the Sony Xperia Z2 are truly amazing phones, but different enough to steer you towards one side or the other. So what will it be for you? Which of these phones would you pick and why? I'm curious to read your replies, so make sure to leave them below in the comments section. With that in mind, it's time to wrap this up for now. Thanks for watching, make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this clip and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button on your way out, it will greatly help us and our work. Catch you later.